Now, if I was to say, Bill, you gun to your head, you got to do an oil change on your Lamborghini right now. Could you do it?
Yeah, I'm going to take it to Lamborghini. I can't do it. Why? Nah, you can't even change the tire on a Lamborghini. Do you know if you get a flat tire? We were driving to Florida, right? On those service roads to go to Orlando. And then next thing you know, we hear, Sean, here's a flat tire. And so we go outside, and there's a pin sticking in the wheel, in the back of the wheel, the right passenger side wheel. So I go to take the pin out, and I was like, no, we got to drive this to a mechanic. So we go to 4 different mechanic shops, and they said, we're not allowed to touch this. We don't fix Lamborghinis here. I'm like, what do you mean you don't fix Lamborghinis here? What do you want me to go to get this fixed? You got to go to Lamborghini. So I called up the Lamborghini service, and they said, yeah, you have to bring it here to Orlando. So I found Jesus in the middle of a town 45 minutes outside Orlando, and he put 8 patches on the tire, inside and out, and he said, you're going to get about 3 hours out of this. I drove to Lamborghini, and they took me in right away, and they come back, and I said, don't worry, I got tire coverage, I got warranty on this. The guy comes out, and he goes, I got good news and bad news. Good news is I got a tire. Bad news is you don't have coverage anymore. I'm like, what? So I called Lamborghini, and they said, yeah, you were expired 3 months ago. So when were you going to tell me this? You sold me a $300,000 car? There's no courtesy call? Your warranties are expiring to renew it? No, the people at Lamborghini are very special, unique people. They go out of your way to give you a great service. They go out of your way to answer your phone calls. They even answer phone calls on a Sunday. Okay? You can call these people at 8 o'clock at night, the manager of Lamborghini of Greenwich, Connecticut, Paul, or Kevin, or Anthony, and these guys answer their phone calls right away. They answer text messages. Even the executives at Lamborghini, because I go to a lot of lounge parties with them and racetrack visits, and they're always there to answer your questions and try to give you the right answer.
Now, how unique is it to have a Lamborghini, let's say, I don't know if we want to say in New York, but tell me some, doesn't have to be straight statistics, but like, how many Lamborghinis are in the United States or maybe in the area, or how special is it to have one in you?
Well, the waiting list for a Lamborghini is quite some time now. It depends on what kind of Lamborghini you're ordering. But like the Revolto right now is the 3 to 5 year waiting list for a Revolto, the hybrid. Oris, I think, is between 1 year and 16 months. The Huracan's changed over now to a hybrid. I don't know what the waiting list for that, but I believe it's between 1 year and 18 months if you got one in early. If you didn't get one in early, it's up to 3 years now. No, you got to go into a dealership, and I'm not sure if you could do it on the phone or not, but most people go into a dealership and build the car they want, and then they build it for you, and they tell you exactly how long you're going to wait. But they could probably tell you over the phone how long you're going to wait if you have to answer that question, because they only get a certain allocations. They only get a certain amount. The Urus is the #1 SUV, exotic SUV in the world. So it's sold more than any other SUV in the world. It's phenomenal, the numbers that are coming in. But now they're changing over to hybrid now. So I don't know how people feel about that.
We could go on hybrid a little bit, but being you, the world that you came from, where you grew up, what it was like to being someone who owns multiple Lamborghinis, did you ever think that you would?
I never thought that as a child. I grew up in poverty in the South Bronx. I started in Mount Vernon, which is even worse. And I grew up in the Bronx until my early 20s. And then I moved around. But growing up in the Bronx in poverty was a horrible way to go. You know, it was 8 of us. I had 6 sisters, 1 brother. I had a single mom, and she had no help from her family. She raised all 8 kids on her own. And my mother, you want to talk about superheroes? My mother was a superhero. I mean, she worked 3 jobs. And she did the best she could as a mother. She listened the best she could. She talked to you. She tried to give you the best advice. She helped everybody she can. She helped. She went out of her way to do the best she can. As a parent, I couldn't ask for a better mother than the mother I had. You know, she was the best of the best. And I'm not saying that because she's my mother. I'm saying that because as a child, growing up with 8 kids in the family, she didn't have a lot of time for none of us, but she did the best she could. When she did have the little time she had, she sat with you. Or if you really wanted to visit my mother, you had to go to one of our 3 jobs she was working at, and she would give you a few minutes of her time and listen to your problems. If I needed $10, Mom, I need $10. All right. She give me, I need $20. Mom's over there. I'm hungry. Get something to eat. She called this one. She called that one. You know what I'm saying? She was big on Christianity. She was big on charity, my mother. And, unfortunately, at a young age, she passed away of cancer. And we had to build from there, and as I got out of poverty and I realized that this is not the way I want to live. I got tired of being hungry, only eating once or twice a day, working dead-end jobs, not having an education, not finishing high school, so I went back to school to be a technician. And then after that, I went to be a teacher. I got into the union. And I learned all my values and knowledge from different trades, from electrical to plumbing to masonry to being an iron worker. I was all of that. I had multiple jobs. I worked 3 jobs when I got older, so I followed in her footsteps. So, looking at a guy pulling up in a Lamborghini to a restaurant, and I'm getting off the subway, I'm like, wow, what's that like? I always thought that you had to be born into that to get that way. And then one day I'm at an event and they got this fancy food there. I'm like, so I tell the guy, you got a cheeseburger? And he goes, what? We don't serve cheeseburgers here. I said, well, this is not even a real salad. What kind of salad is this? This is a rich people's salad? And he says, what? So I'm like, yeah, we can't. I need regular food, bro. Steak, potatoes, burgers, hot dog. He goes, well, we don't serve none of that here. You're in the wrong place. I said, all right, well, I'll go somewhere else. So as I became successful, it took a long time to get there. It took a long time of hard work. So I said, you know what? I'm going to get to the way I want to get there. I'm going to get there with hard work, because you're not going to get rich saving money and counting on other people. Greatness doesn't come by chance. Greatness comes by choice. And you have to choose that. You have to follow that. You have to be persistent. You got to be consistent. You have to work hard every day. You have to sacrifice. You have to give up some of the things you love. If you really want to get to where you want to get, so stop dreaming in your dreams. Wake up and follow it and chase it. You're going to have to give up some things. You're going to have to give up friends. You might even have to give up a relationship, because it's going to take a toll on you. But if you get to that point, if people really believe in you and believe in your dreams and who you are, then they'll stick behind you and they'll stick beside you. Those are the people that you want to keep inside your life, the people that believe in what you want. And if they don't, guess what? Then they're only there for a reason. They're there for a season. They're not there for what you believe in. So if you understand what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is, when I was poverty and I was hungry, okay, I remember a Christmas morning where I had no food at all, okay? My family wanted nothing to do with me. You know why? Because I was a street person. I was a thug. I went to prison. I went to all kinds of stuff in my life. And I was at the bottom of the barrel. And my family didn't want nothing to do with me. They weren't opening the doors for me. They wouldn't give me $5. And I woke up on Christmas morning, okay, in 1996, and I had nothing to eat. And I was living on my friend's couch. And that was the turning point in my life, where I was homeless. I was in a shelter. I slept in parks. I slept in cemeteries, okay? I slept in the back of people's cars. I slept in the back of my mom's car. I did it all to survive, because all I wanted to do. So what changed me and my aspect on life was I never wanted to be hungry again. I was tired of being hungry, man. I was tired of being 160 pounds, and I didn't want to be that person anymore. And the only person who can change that is me. Me telling somebody I'm hungry and asking for food is not going to change anything. I had to make that difference. So I cleaned up, I cleaned myself up. I allowed myself. But you have to be patient. You have to be patient in life. You have to be patient that things come, because things are not going to come overnight. You're not going to become a millionaire overnight. You're going to get rich overnight. You have to be patient and resilient, and you have to chase it every single day. I'm 57 years old right now, and I still work 7 days a week, 16, 18 hours a day. Yesterday, I worked 18 and a half hours straight, and I'm 57 because it doesn't stop there.
So do you think that the adversity that you experienced and that tough upbringing, be it your surroundings, your experience, your experiencing poverty just because of the sheer number of kids in your household, even though granted that your mom did the best she could, do you think that creates a person who has the mindset to have success? Do you think you attribute that to the reason why you've been successful today? And do you think that kids today who grow up in a household that maybe, let's say, I'm not saying the Schwick household, but something where it's nice, it's living luxury, living with everything that they need, do you think that kid today doesn't have the hunger to be successful like you were?
Well, I can't say that. I can't say that, because he might have that aspect. But when you're given so much in your life, where do you get the responsibility and the discipline to want to be able to earn it on your own? When things are given to you, then how do you appreciate something like that? If someone gives us something to me, I'm grateful and thankful for that. Even today, for a hat, a pair of socks, I'm grateful and have gratitude that people's even giving me something, even with my success. And I love to give back, but being in poverty and hungry, it gave me the resilience and tenacity and the motivation to say, you know what, I don't want this anymore. I'm not going back to poverty. I'm not going to live homeless no more. I don't want to live in the back of the car. I slept in a cemetery on 233rd in the South Bronx in a snowstorm. I had 2 jackets on and a hoodie, and I had no blanket. I stuffed 2 shirts inside my hoodie so I wouldn't have the wind blowing in my ears. I stuffed 2 T-shirts, and I had a suitcase under my bench, and I tied 2 socks together to my wrist so nobody wouldn't steal my suitcase. And that's how I was living. That's how bad it was. And I woke up the next day and I went to an airport shelter, and I stayed there for 3 weeks until I found a way. I worked dead-end jobs for years after year. Nobody is going to give you anything for nothing. Somebody always wants something. And that's what the issue is. If you really want something out of life, then you got to chase it. You got to make that choice. You always have a choice. When someone tells you they don't have a choice, they're not telling you the truth. You may be limited in the choice that you have to make, but you always have a choice. So you have to take that choice and say, you know what, this is what I want to do with it. You got to work harder than everybody else. You got to work harder than the person next to you. And you have to believe in that. And as long as you keep doing that, you're going to get to where you want to get. But you have to stay motivated and driven. It can't just stop because you made money. You have to keep doing the cycle over and over again. Every day you wake up, you have to stay motivated and driven to do something different, more positive, you have to be more persistent. You have to stay that way. If you're hungry yesterday, then tomorrow you need to be more hungry. You want steak today, then you go for lobster tomorrow. You want to drive a Lamborghini? Then drive a Lamborghini yacht. I don't know. But, owning these cars is beautiful and it's nice, but you have to have, the best part of owning these cars is you get to share them with other people. We get to do charity work. We get to go to dream rides. We get to go sponsorships for kids with autism and cancer and women. We get to share that with the world and say, you know what? This is the beauty of something that we have. We want you to be part of that. When a kid comes up to your car and says, can I sit in your car? And they sitting there and they're smiling and giggling and laughing and they want to take a picture and they're like, that's the best reward right there. Knowing that a 10-year-old kid wants to sit in your car and it's making them the happiest kid in the world. Wow. I'll give you an example. I was at a gas station in Florida and I had the McLaren in the top down and there's these 2 kids with a family. It was a Spanish family, a father, a wife, and 2 kids. It was a daughter and a son. And the son comes up to me and goes, can I sit in your car? And I said, yeah, but it's going to cost you some of those M&Ms you got in your hand. So he takes the M&Ms and he goes, let me see your hand. And he opens up the M&Ms and he pours the whole bag of M&Ms in my hand. And I said, well, now you can start the car too. And then we got a video of that somewhere. And then he gets in the car. Another incident is last week, I'm at the airport and I'm standing there drinking my coffee, waiting to board a plane back to New York City from Fort Myers. And this little girl, this 4-year-old kid, well, I didn't at the time, I didn't know her age. She's standing next to the giant sign for the people that are getting on the plane for Delta. And she walks towards the sign, and the sign, she knocks it over her, and it starts to fall over there. I drop my coffee, and I dive in, and I grab the pole before I hit her, and she fell on her back. And her father came running over and grabbed her, and I'm sitting there with the sign on top of my arm on the floor with her. And next thing you know, the steward from the airplane is coming over, the guy from Delta, and I didn't even know there was a pilot and a co-pilot behind a counter that was about to fly that plane to New York. And he goes, what? He goes, why? He goes, what did you just do? And I said, the kid was falling on the kid, so I reacted. So I wanted to jump in and help her out and did what I can. And he goes, who are you? And I said, I'm Bill. I fly a lot. I'm a Delta Diamond member. And he goes, you know what, man? He goes, that was so honorable what you did. He goes, and the father came up to me, hugging me, saying, thank you for helping my kid. She could have got hurt really bad. Then the guy from Delta moved all the signs and the poles out of the way. And he goes, I want to give you something. And he takes the wing off his jacket. And he goes, I want you to have this. And he gives it to me. And I was like, wow, that's nice here. He goes, yeah, man. He goes, wow, you're such a nice guy. And he goes, and he goes in his bag. And he goes, I want you to have this card. And he hands me this card. I'm like, oh, wow, that's nice. And he goes, thank you for being a Diamond member, such a nice person, for helping that little girl out, man. We're so honored to have you on this flight. And as I'm getting on the plane, I'm boarding, he comes out of the cockpit and he goes, I got one more thing for you. And he goes, I want you to have this special card from TUSA. And he goes, you know what? And he shakes my hand and he goes, thanks for being such a good person, man. And he goes, have a great flight. And I was like, wow, man. Wow, that was such a, you can't write this stuff up, man.
You always seem like you just, exude gratitude, and you're always so thankful to us, and you're so nice to us, and I can just imagine that it's like that everywhere you go. This has honestly been a touching moment, because, you might seem like a guy who's like a rough, around the edges kind of guy. People probably see you, and wherever you're famous around here, but people in other places, but people probably see you and they say, "Oh man, like Baby Bill is scary,"
Yeah.
But really, you give. I've never seen someone. I've only met you a couple times. I've never seen someone more giving and thankful. So we're happy to be around you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you guys being there too.
So let's just take a minute. I want to take a mental reset for 30 seconds, and then I want to get back into some fun, goofy.
Okay. I could tell you an incident happened at BJ's yesterday if you want.
Let's go, Billy.
Oh, I got something to tell you yesterday. These are all true stories, isn't it?
It's true. No one can make this shit up.
If you do, you're a jackass.
Make sure you pull that mic back towards you.
Okay. I'm going to go buy my one for my shirt because I can't trust you. This should be on the camera. You ready?
Yes, sir.
So, yesterday, during snow, it was heavy rain and snow yesterday. I had to run to BJ's to get milk and eggs and stuff like that. And Sharon's like, make sure you get eggs. They're probably going to be out of there. So I said, all right, I bought 6 dozen. And she's like, you bought 6 dozen? And I'm like, yeah. And I said, I wanted to have extra because they're running out of eggs. Well, that was just dumb. And I said, no, that was actually smart because the eggs stay fresher longer than you think they do. So I parked my car. I parked my TRX Mammoth truck. I always park it in the lane in front of BJ's because I'm in and out quickly. So I go behind the cones. And the guy usually doesn't say anything to me because he likes the truck. He likes to take a couple pictures with it. So somebody must have said something to him. And they call over the microphone. Does somebody have a white TRX truck in a fire lane outside? Police officer wants to talk to you. And I go, oh, me? Oh, he said, all right, well, I got to pay for my food. So I go outside and he goes, why are you parked there? And I said, well, that's a handicap lane. And I said, he goes, are you handicapped? I said, yeah. I said, I have metal all over my body. And I said, I was in a drive-by. I got shot at 17 times about 10 years ago. And he goes, oh, really? And I said, yeah, I got metal everywhere. And I said, so I have difficulty sometimes. he goes, you know what? That's enough for me. And he goes, try not to park too close. He goes, park down a little bit in front of him.
Is that true?
And that's exactly what happened yesterday at BJ's in Yorktown Heights.
Did you get shot up in a drive-by, or that was a joke?
No. When I was a kid, I got shot in a drive-by. Yes. When I was 11 years old, I got shot in a drive-by.
Can you share about that? Actually,
I never shared that before.
do you want to?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, let's talk about it. What happened when you were 11 years old?
When I was 11 years old, I was, back when I was 11 years old, obviously, there was no cell phones and beepers. So all we had was the park. So I was playing kickball and soccer inside Hartley Park in Mount Vernon. But back in those days, in the 70s, there was a lot of gang activity, a lot of people against each other and stuff like that. And the neighborhood wasn't that great to begin with. It was considered a hood, which is still considered a hood. But back then, we didn't have much anyway, and we were growing up in poverty as it is. So they were running, a bunch of people were running to the park, and they were shooting at each other. So I got shot at, and then and after I got shot at, I fell on top of a park bench, and then the park bench ripped my whole chest open, and I had 197 stitches, and I was in the hospital for 3.5 months. So
Did they ever find out who did that?
they never, you talk about 1978. There was no cameras. It wasn't even, the street lights didn't even work back then. You're lucky. You were lucky. If you walk down the street with a street lamp, you're in a good neighborhood. None of the lights worked back then. And, I blacked out. I didn't even know I got shot at the time.
Did you black that memory out? Or
No, I remember everything afterwards. I woke up in the ambulance and my chest was on fire. And, I went to the hospital. I was in the hospital for 3 months as a child because I had a hole in my chest the whole time. I couldn't breathe right. So, you got to remember 1978, the surgical procedures back then. So after that, I lived with my sister for a while, but I had a hole in my chest for about a year straight until they healed up slowly because it was so close to the bones and my rib cage and my chest and my lungs that they weren't able to get that part over. So I had to keep bandages on my chest because the skin graft everything had to grow back on its own.
you got shot more times than 50 Cent?
I got shot more times than 50 Cent. Well, I don't know about that, but he took it well, though. So when I told that to the cop yesterday, he goes, yeah, I heard enough.
Billy, imagine this. I'm sure you watched any zombie movies lately?
I don't watch any of that stuff.
Okay.
I don't have time for TV.
I hear you. Imagine you got dropped off in New York City, 80s in New York City. And you dropped out of a helicopter. You land in the middle of wherever in New York, and all you got's a baseball bat or one weapon of choice. And it's a zombie apocalypse. There's fucking undead bodies running all over the place. It's The Walking Dead. You got one weapon. Tell us what it is and what are you doing? What, are you going to let a zombie take you down?
Well, I ain't letting no zombie take me down. Listen, I ain't going out like that, dude. I'm going to let you know that right now. I wouldn't, if I had a preferred choice of a weapon and I knew there were zombies around, I want a 7-foot fucking pry bar that pries up concrete and fucking wood planks. Really? Yeah, because it's heavy duty. It weighs like 40 pounds. Well, between 30 and 40 pounds. It's heavy duty and it's not breaking. It's solid steel. And it's got 2 hooks on both ends. It's got the pry bar on the bottom. It's got the U-shaped hook on top. That's what you want to do to fight all zombies if you ain't got no weapon or no gun. And I'm chopping off heads, man. I'm fighting to the end, bro. If they're going to eat me the fucking alive, I'm fighting everything that comes my fucking way, dude. Listen, I'm not going out like that. I told you last time, listen, I'm fighting fucking sharks, whales, fish, dolphins. I don't give a fuck, dude. I'm not, listen, a tiger, whatever, dude. I'm not, a snake, I'm not doing it. Listen, I may get bit or whatever, but I'm going to fight the fucking battle, dude. I grew up on the streets of New York in the South Bronx, dude. And, you know, I'm fighting whatever I got to fight. Listen, you want to have courage, then you better have a courage to save your fucking ass or your life. Whether it's zombies, fucking gang members, or fucking people shooting at you. I've been in more than one drive-by, okay? When I was growing up in the South Bronx, those were a common thing. All that stuff was common in the 70s and the 80s, man. The 80s was probably the biggest years of shootings in New York City in the entire history of New York City. Everything happened, and you had to survive. You had to be smart. You had to work. You had to stay out of trouble. And you know, the only way you're gonna stay focused on that is you got to work hard. And if you really want to be the best person in life, then be a good husband, be a good dad, be a good friend, you know what I'm saying? Go be a good brother, whatever you are. Be a good uncle. And you know, I try to be the best person I can every day. You know, there's a true story about a guy in San Francisco. It's a real story. He jumped off the San Francisco Bridge. It's a sad story, but what happened was when the police went to go investigate his apartment to find something, they found a note on his desk that said, "When I leave my apartment today, if one person says hello to me or smiles at me, I will not do it. I will not jump. I just want that one chance." And obviously nobody ever said good morning or hello to him. After I heard that story a year ago and I read about it, I start saying hello to people all the time, even more now than ever, at airports, in the chairs. If I see somebody sad, I try to tell them a stupid joke. "Hey, how you doing? You all right, buddy? How you doing, man? Everything good? You want something to eat? You hungry? You want something to drink? What you want to do?" And then they're like, "Who's this guy? You know, he don't even know who I am." I play with puppies at airports. I pet the dogs, kitty cats, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm a doggy dad. I don't care, man. You got a cute little cat there. You know what I'm saying? And when I was at the airport the other day, this lady looked so sad. And she goes, "Oh, you know, my husband passed away a few months ago." So I talked to her for like a half hour because she had the cat inside the thing. And she goes, "The cat brings me joy." And I said, "Listen, animals are beautiful people. They're beautiful creatures. Not people, sorry about that. They're beautiful creatures." I really fucked that one up, didn't I? So they bring a lot of love. And you know what? Love yourself. You know, because that's what your husband wants. He wants you to be happy in life and live your life the way you want to live it. You know what I'm saying?
You said you're a doggy dad. I mean, come on. Those things aren't even real dogs, dude. What are you talking about?
You talking about my little dog, Jojo Coda?
You're not a dog dad. You're a mouse dad.
Nah, like a little baby. Well, listen. You know, the smaller, the bigger. You know the Napoleon complex, right? Where the smaller you are, the bigger you are. That's how these two are. You're like little rugrats, man. Coda goes out in a snowstorm and an ice storm yesterday, running around the yard chasing at things, man.
You gotta what do you gotta do with the Lambos and your trucks and stuff when it's cold? Do you got any protection or anything like that?
Well, all the cars stay indoors. I have central HVAC heating inside the garages. So all of them all the cars are climate controlled here, and in Florida there's air conditioning and heating too.
So let's give some tips to people who are car enthusiasts. So okay, you have them HVAC controlled? That's you in a luxury situation. Does someone need to manage the temperature of their vehicle when it's freezing?
Well, if you leave your car in the garage and it's freezing outside, you know what? Certain things happen. You know, your tires get deflated because of the cold air, obviously. But I don't know what happens to the interior of the car, basically, but I know it's not good for the car. It's like your car being in the heat. You know, the seat starts to crack after a certain time, you know, after longevity. So I was taught that the climate control to keep the car at a certain temperature, if you're able to afford that, helps with the car's longevity. You know what I'm saying? And I never had that before. I never knew a person open up a garage door and say, you know what, I got air conditioning heating there. I only did that because of the cars we have, to maintain them in a proper environment. That's what I was taught by the people that came before me.
Do you think that an exotic car is an appreciated appreciating or depreciating asset?
Well, it depends on what car you have. You know, certain cars lose their depreciation. From my experience, one of my cars in my fleet depreciated by half. I have a McLaren 720S Spider, which I love. It's my favorite Florida car. I call it a Florida car because you can't really drive it anywhere. You know, like in New York City, the roads are rough. But I love the McLaren. I want to keep it forever. But the value of that car went from $430,000 to $220,000. It might even be at $200,000 now. I don't even know anymore. You get a Lamborghini Huracan. Some of these Huracans are 3 to 4 years old. If you keep the miles low on that, their value holds. If you bought a Lamborghini Huracan in 2021 for $250,000, $260,000, you could sell that car for the same price 3 years later, as long as you keep the miles low on that car and keep it maintained and keep a clean record and keep Carfax on that. I'm going to tell you a story. I bought a TRX here when they first came out. I bought the TRX, you know, in the car because it was the baddest, fastest, most powerful truck in the world at the time in 2020. So it wasn't enough for me. I was like, this is just a regular truck. The guy's like, what are you talking about? This is an 800 horsepower truck. I was like, my nephew at the time, KJ, goes, you got to take it to Hennessy, man. You got to take it down to Texas. So I shipped it down there and I had it modified, but they were taking a long time. They kept my truck too long. So what I did was I said, I'm coming down there to get it. And I'm going to drive it back to New York. I want to see how powerful this car is. So I picked it up 5 o'clock at night. It's raining outside in Sealy, Texas. I had a 28-hour drive back to New York. So I was like, you know what? Let me start driving now. So I get in the truck by myself, and I'm driving home in this truck, and I'm going to like somewhere outside Texas. I don't know if it was Mississippi or Tennessee. It was one of those southern towns. And as I'm driving on the highway late at night, there's a truck in front of me. And next thing you know, this car pulls behind me with bright lights on. And I can't really see, but he's on top of me. So I speed up a little bit, and so does he. So next thing you know, out of the blue, another car pulls up next to him, and he pulls in front of me. And this is a true story. It's at nighttime. It's like 1 o'clock in the morning. And here my truck is all modified with the bar, the running boards, a big giant wheel, says Hennessy on it. I got the thing in the back on it. I got the letters on it. And he's in front of me, but he starts to slow down. I'm beeping at him. He's not moving. So we're past the truck now, the tractor trailer, because they drive a lot at night. So as I'm driving a little further, I'm trying to get out from him. So on the left side of me on the highway is a middle medium. It's all grass, but you can see the other side of the parkway. So that one's going north and this one's going south. So I'm going north to head back to New York City. And next thing you know, another car pulls up next to me. I'm like, wait a second, something ain't right here. I got a bad feeling. I'm tired. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. So the only thing I can do, I turn, like, it looked like they were trying to box me in. The guy had his bright lights on. He had something in the front of his car. So I did. I was like, nah, this ain't fucking happening to me, bro. Nah, you ain't fucking, you got the wrong motherfucker, dude. I'm in a truck like this. I said, fuck it. That's why I got a bumper on the front of the truck. I fucking turned to the left into the grass, gun it about 100 miles an hour, spitting rocks and dirt. I fucking cut in front of him. I cut back on the parkway. I stayed at 100 miles an hour, bro, for like 15 minutes, bro. Free down the street whining, bro. I swear to God, this is a true story. I'm flying for like 15 minutes straight, dude. Nothing behind me, bro. Nothing. I smoked them, bro. You ain't getting my truck, bro, after all I went through. And I had about another hour for the hotel, but I was driving so fast, I got there 20 minutes early. So I get to the hotel, and I said to the guy, and he goes, you all right? I said, I was all hyped up, man. I was like, I can't sleep, man. I'm going to sleep in my truck. Can I just stay in there for the night? But Shannon's like, no, I got you the room for the night. And the guy goes, listen, leave the truck out here. Park it in front of the front door. The cameras are right there. Don't worry about nothing. So I was already an hour and a half away, 2 hours away from these guys.
That story's crazy, Bill. Is there crime like that going on with, like, or do you know anything that being an exotic car aficionado, do you know that people are doing weird stealing shit, breaking cars down like Grand Theft Auto? What are people doing?
Well, I haven't heard anything like that. But people, there's a lot of people going into people's properties, man, trying to steal their cars, man. I see that a lot on Google and all that. People, I have Ring cameras. I have cameras on all my houses everywhere, and it pops up a lot because I'm connected to all the neighbors. That the guys are trying to break into people's cars, even just to steal stuff, man. I'm like,
is it hard to steal a car?
well, you gotta listen. If you're gonna have an exotic car like that, my Trackhawk was stolen a year ago, and I learned from that. My Trackhawk was stolen, bro. This was a beautiful Trackhawk with no mileage on it. Had 1,300 miles on it. It was already modified, supercharged, new wheels, everything on it. And they stole it out of a shop in Jersey, man. And to this day, and I don't care what anybody says about it, we believe the shop owner was in on it. And you know what? Sharon won the Trackhawk at an auction for $88,000. You can't get a Trackhawk from anywhere that kind of mileage for 88,000 miles. But we bought it from a guy who won, who departed, went on to prison and all that. So we felt it as bad juju. We're like, that's bad juju. So the insurance company, after fighting for 3 months, we finally got it back. But all our cars have GPS and immobilizers in them now. So if you're going to have a car of that stature, you got to have a GPS and immobilizer in it so you can have track and stuff on that all the time.
Yeah. What about, listen, in pop culture, there's a lot of famous people, and then with social media, you got even more famous people that are coming into money at a young age, and they're stupid or young or whatever, right? And maybe they like nice cars, maybe they buy a car, maybe they don't know what they're doing. What are some people what's the new generation that are getting new cars? What are they doing wrong with their exotic cars?
Well, listen, these guys, we all want to do some part of social media, but it gets overkill with some of these guys. I mean, you're telling people, we were in Vegas last year, and these guys are jumping on top of their cars and sending super videos to people. And if you're dumb enough to watch a guy jumping on top of his car, then you don't deserve to even have that car. I mean, they're taking videos of people jumping on top of exotic cars, and people are getting hits off of that, getting followers off of stupid stuff like that. A car is meant to be driven and appreciated and, and valued, so you can share it with other people in a fun manner, with drives and this and stuff like that. But, these kids are coming in today that, they're making money off social media. I didn't make my money off social media. I made it the hard brick way, okay? I came from the school of hard knocks, dude. You know what I'm saying? I came from brick and mortar, man. I came hungry. I had no value about nothing. I had nothing. I wore the same jeans. I had a pair of sneakers on my, and I took that and I made it into something, and we did, me and Sharon did. We made it into something. We built it into a brand. And with her brains and her tenacity about it, we are where we are today. Because if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't even have thought I had 3/4 of the stuff. So if I had to give credit to anybody, it would be my wife. Because, she's a person not only about professionalism and vision, she has a vision that I've never seen in anybody else before. And she wants to do it to give value back to people's lives as well. If you bring up a charity event for Sharon, she will go out of her way to say, hey, you know what? We'll be there. We'll make it happen for you. Yep. We want to make sure that, that changes. We want to give that back to the community. You got to, if you got all this money and you got something to offer, then give something back, man. You know what I'm saying? You don't need a private jet for that. I'm never going to own a private jet, ever. It's bad for the environment. I don't need it. And, you don't fly enough to do that anyway. And besides, I need stories to tell at airports so I can rescue people. You know what I'm saying? Or help people out. Hey, Barry, everybody, this is Uncle Billy, Schwick Wheels, man. I don't even know what I'm doing here today, but I'm here for something. I'm being interviewed for a certain amount of things. But listen, we want you guys to continue to follow us. We want to bring fun things to you. We want to bring you adventures to you, good stories to you. We want to be honest with you and straightforward with you. We're not going to BS with you. We're going to bring you whatever. We're going to bring you facts, man. And we want you to laugh. We want you to cry. We want you to be emotional. We want you to reach out to us. We want you to love us or hate us. Whatever you got to do, we want you to know. We want you to be part of our family. Keep following us. Keep focusing on us. We're going to bring you more content, more videos to come. We got new doors opening up, and we want to open up doors for people as well.
Love it. What's the name of the show, Bill?
Behind, what is it? Okay. What is it again? Behind the Wheel? Behind the Wheel podcast. I can't even get that right. Where's Sharon? Behind the Wheels podcast.